Hey everybody, how you doing today? So the problem I got with this truck is it's a plow truck, and I'm sure if you have this genre of truck, 2017 to I think 2019, I'm not exactly sure the top end. I know this is 2017. It's I think the first year of this body style. It's F350. The problem we're having is electrical load issues. So we run a plow on this truck, and as you're plowing with it, it starts shutting down the electrical load and saying too much of a draw. It shuts down the radio, the outlets, all that kind of stuff. So it does have the big alternator on it, the extra heavy duty, whatever you want to call it, alternator. I did check that out. I think it's a 200 or a 240 amp, whatever one it is. That's what it came with. This battery is relatively new. It's only 2 years old. I think I put it in there maybe 2 years ago. Not exactly sure. I know it was 2 years ago. I don't know if it's 2 years exactly right now, but anyway, so it is a 850 cold cranking amp battery, 150 minute reserve, which is the biggest battery you can get for this, unless you get like an Optima or something, but I don't even know if those would be any better. So what we're doing is we're going to put in a second battery, which is Ford's got a TSB for it to do a dual battery kit. You can get it as an option when you buy the truck, or you can upgrade it because it's been a problem with them apparently. So I got two new batteries, two 850 cranking amp batteries, or cold cranking amp batteries, 150 minute reserve, and we're going to pop them in. So if you are interested in how much this cost, I can't really tell you exactly how much it costs. I can tell you what it cost us. And what it cost us is less than it's going to probably cost you with the factory parts. We get a discount because we are a municipality. They don't charge us full price, so I don't know what the actual retail price is going to be, but I will put that at the end of the video. I will include a list of the parts and the part numbers for you at the end of the video, so you can screenshot that and get what you want. The bottle, I believe, is a diesel bottle. So the kit, it comes with this guy right here. So is that the degas bottle? That is part of the battery tray. I believe it is the same thing that's on a diesel. So if you want to get a used one, get one out of a diesel probably. So first thing we gotta do, we gotta drain the coolant down. You could probably suck it out or drain it however you want to, but we got to get the coolant down because we have to remove this bottle. We're probably going to get some coolant spillage. I would recommend getting some coolant. We have to take this hose off, this lower hose that goes to the bottom of the bottle here, because the new bottle puts the bottle back here and that hose does not reach. You may be able to reuse that hose by cutting the little plastic clip off of it that holds the fitting in the orientation it's in, and maybe spin the fitting and put a hose clamp on there and come in the back side, because the other bottle comes in the front, this one comes in the back. So that might be an option. I got the new hose, so it's not the option that I'm going to do. So also we got to take this trim panel off here, the cowl cover, whatever you want to call it. It's got a bunch of little push pins everywhere. You pull a push pin up, there are two pieces. You pull the center up and then the bottom comes up. You can buy a tool for it or get it with a screwdriver, however you wish. So we'll pull that up. I missed one. All right, I'll work on that. So I had to get a piece of one of those quick connect things off of a piece of coolant tube one time. So I made up these pliers because I couldn't squeeze it with my fingers at all. So these are needleless pliers. I just heated them up and bent the ends in. So for these, I just ground the ends down to a little bit of a point. I mean, they make a tool for this that looks just like this if you want to buy one, but this is just kind of something I made that I have here. Pull it and lose it. So there's that. I'm trying to do it one hand. It's not so refined. Anyway, get that up. That comes off. Put that over there. So we're going to end up running our battery connections right here through underneath this radiator support here, and then we zip tie it to that. as per the TSB bulletin that they gave me. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna drain the coolant down, and I'm gonna get us ready to pull this out. All right, so we gotta pull all the stuff off this. You get a couple of clips here that hold some wires and stuff. You pull them off and such like that. Is that a little Christmas tree fastener on this guy, I think. So we'll pull that off. Inside here, there's a little clip where it kind of comes up from the back side. I'm just pulling that away and then sliding this down. So you see that little clip, I just pulled that away. Pull this tab, pushed it this way. It was right here. Push it away, slide that down, it came out. This, if I can get myself up. I need a little prying tool. This guy right here, squeeze these top tabs in, slide that off. Now that is off. Fastener remover. And over here, pry that off. Now that is all free. This is obviously going to move back a little bit as we move this bottle back. You're going to reuse the cap. So you're going to reuse the cap. You're probably going to reuse some hose clamps and stuff. I just pulled this hose off here, put it to the side. I'm not even going to take that hose off the bottom there. I'm just going to move the whole bottle over, and I'm just going to undo the hose clamp that's on a T at the end of that hose at the bottom of the engine there. Take that off, and I'm just going to pull that hose right off and poke the new hose on. To get this bottle off, you've got one bolt there. We have a flashlight for you. So we've got one bolt there, one bolt there, I believe one bolt there, and then that takes that off, and then this bottle will come off. I don't know if you can see, but that hose runs right down there to the bottom under the T. It hooks pins into the back of the fan shroud there. Want to drain the coolant? Want to drain the coolant? There is your coolant drain petcock. I was able to just kind of fish my arm in there with some pliers and loosen that up. Drain it out, and once this is out, then we can start putting stuff back together. All right, I lied. It's actually really pretty easy to take that hose off. So, where's my pliers, my screwdriver? So, came in here, just get underneath the little metal tab, pry it up. It goes up about halfway, and then just pull it off, and hose is off. In case you're wondering. All right, I don't know if anyone's got a pair of these. These are like hose clamp pliers. They work pretty well. Don't know what they cost. Probably like $800 because it's got a freaking Snap-on written on it. But basically, I don't know if you can see down there. Here's the hose clamp thing. It goes on there and it squeezes them together. See it? I'll show you when I get it out. Anyway, so it squeezes it together and it holds it that way. So it actually works pretty well. And I'm just up here. I grabbed down there. I'm just kind of twisting and gave it a pull. I don't know if I drained enough coolant out, but there's definitely enough out now. So I'm gonna pull that up, put the new hose on real quick, and I'm done with that. All right, so that's how that works. Just goes on there, holds it on there, and kind of ratchets it closed. When you're done, re-squeeze it, pull a little trigger down, and it lets it go. Definitely way easier than trying to get your hand in there with pliers. So, yeah. I actually didn't even know I had this in the drawer until I found it one day, and I was just like, oh yeah, I don't even know why I don't use that. And now I use it. It's great. I got the bottle in. I just had to make sure there's nothing here, no wire or anything that was going to be in the way of said box. There was some wiring that kind of ran down here that passed through, but there was a little bit of a gap there, so it should be fine. Basically everything that was here I just tucked over to the inside, and I'll deal with that later because that's not really part of the process. But so I used your existing bolts, one there, obviously one here. They were hard going in. They went in easy to where it was before, but these panels here, or the plastic here, is a little thinner, so it actually goes in farther than it would have initially, and I had to kind of, like, I wouldn't say force it in, but definitely put up some resistance. So they're in there. So we got to get you situated here so you can sort of see. So we're gonna take our old vacuum lines and get our clips and stuff. I'm gonna clip that all back in where it was, possibly, because that doesn't go right, does it? Interesting. Gonna have to do something about that. So that's gonna be a problem. Probably have to get some rubber fittings for these vacuum lines that go straight into this thing, because that little 90 they got on there ain't working. Oh, clip that back on where that one goes. I guess I'll have to get some straight vacuum connectors for that. Make that work. Might even need a new little hose. I'll work on that. Work on that some other time, because I need this truck for tomorrow. So I'm gonna leave that sitting there until I iron that out. This. Alright, I got this as worked out as I'm going to get it for now. I just kind of got it zip tied there to keep it away from the edge. The other one was at a 45, so it kept that face like towards this one, but I mean, this is obviously a different mount, different vacuum lines, so that's how I got it set up for now. Just kind of zip tied there. I'll work that out later. Yeah, and I got all other stuff kind of oriented around. We plugged that guy back in right there. So we're all done back here. We're all done with the box in. Gotta put the battery in. So we gotta put the battery in. We gotta reconnect our hose back to the degas bottle. I got the shut off again. We're gonna plug our hose in. So basically you're just gonna push it on. And voila. Get our little push pin back in the fan shroud down there. I don't know if you saw any of that, but so that goes back in the fan shroud. Little push pin there. You shove your hose on, and that's done. So let's put the battery in. So slip the battery in. Got a little insulator bag on the thing. Put that on. Don't drop the camera. I wonder if that's going to tighten down enough. Don't look like I got enough threads there. Figure it out. So, tighten up the battery. Should do. Shove this on over there. And Once this is in, put our coolant back in, and then we'll run our cables to the other side. All right, so these are the cable I got. I just got black because they didn't have any red there. So Ford says to use welding cable, which is what I got, flexible welding cable. I don't think you necessarily have to have welding cable. You could probably do it with battery cable too. The only thing that I would recommend is Ford says to use 2-aught cable, with obviously 2-aught lug connectors, or battery lug cable connectors, cable lugs, whatever you want to call them. This is a 1-aught one. I went to put the 2-aught one on, which is this guy, and it was actually really loose on the wire. So I got the 1-aught one, which fit snugly on the wire. So I don't know if, because this is fine strand and it's welding cable, if the lugs are going to be a little bit different, or if you get regular battery cable, the battery lugs will fit tighter. I'm not sure exactly that, but you're going to want to have a tight fit on there. I'll show you once I strip this back the difference of the two. I also crimped it with a, what I crimped this with. So that's a 2-aught cable. I used this crimper that I got. Wasn't very expensive. I think it was like 40 bucks. They make smaller ones. This is a 12-ton one, and this is the one I got because I wanted it for a bigger cable. I use a number 50 or 50 millimeter die to do the 1-aught. I just kind of put a little chart here. I'll put a chart up so you can see the what sizes to gauge conversion, sort of. So I ended up crimping this with the 1-aught crimper as well. I put the 2-aught one on there after I was done, and it was nowhere close. I mean, it kind of moved around on the thing. So it, with the dies all the way closed, it did not crimp it as much as the 1-aught one crimped it. You might be able to use the 2-aught one and crimp it with the 1-aught one, but the problem you're going to get is it'll squish down so much that it kind of squeezes sideways, and it gets between the two dies right in there, and you'll get like kind of like a wing on it, and it squeezes that, and it doesn't make a right crimp. I mean, I don't know if you can crimp it halfway and then take it off and turn it and then crimp it the rest of the way and get it to work. Not exactly sure, but so like I said, what I'm doing using this welding cable here, I use the 1-aught lug with the 1-aught crimper. So I'll show you how I crimp this. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in from the side here and grab a... So I figure we're going to be about that far in there, so I'm going to strip it off right about here. You go a little bit long, and then you can obviously cut it down a little bit. So you want to be careful when you're doing it that you don't cut into the strands too much. I just kind of push the knife in. I don't really cut it so much. Another way you can do it is if you bend it, you can kind of cut into it, and it'll kind of pull away. There's that. Pull that off. There is a paper in there. Make sure you get the paper off with it. And then we will push this in as much as we can. I'm going to try to like push it straight on, not twisting it. If you twist it, it'll kind of shorten itself. So yeah, I'll show you what I mean. So this is the 2-aught one. You can see that if I can get all the fibers in there. I mean, it might work, but it's really quite loose. It just slips right off. So I'm using the 1-aught one. That's a tighter fit, but it starts off as a tighter fit. When you're done crimping this, you actually kind of welding it all together with pressure is the end result, really. And it makes like one solid piece. If you don't get it crimped tight enough, then it doesn't work as well. You get heat buildup and stuff. This one wasn't cut very well. I don't know what they cut this with, but might have to give it a bit of a twist. So there we go. Should be in there pretty good now. Except for our one little wing there. Just snip that off. Alright. So come out here with our hydraulic crimper. Let's say this is a number 50 die. You're gonna tighten your little doodad, just kind of snug. I mean, you're not gonna force it down. And we'll come in here. Once they put that in there, I'm gonna crimp it kind of like in the middle towards the back a little more, because you know the cable's back here. You don't really exactly know how far in it went, so I'm gonna get it towards the back here. It's still in the middle. I mean, it's a 1/4 inch wide die, so shouldn't be a problem. So if I can get you a better shot of crimping, you kind of want to keep it straight so it doesn't mess up the cable or pull it out as you're going. But see if I can orient this in a fashion you can see. No. So you want to go until the dies just touch and then stop. Right there, you see they're touching. So what I mean by, if you use a lug that's too big for the die, it'll actually squeeze into that groove and keep you from shutting it all the way. So here's that. We got ourselves a pretty good crimp there, I'd say. That's squeezed in there pretty well. So I got this. This is a 3/4 inch. It says 8 to 1/0 AWG shrink tube. So I'll cut us off probably not that much, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, whatever you think's necessary. I mean, you ain't gotta go too crazy, I don't think. Just look at my fingers. That looks ugly. Should have just used my teeth. Anyway, so your best bet's to use a heat gun. This is pretty thick stuff. Heat gun will work, but not all that great, because it takes a lot of heat to get it going. Well, I'm just going to use me a MAP gas torch and use that. I like to start either in the middle and work your way out, or at an end and work your way back, so you don't get air bubbles in there. because once that glue starts sealing, you'll start getting air bubbles. So this is adjustable. I just kind of turn it down and go kind of evenly around it so it squeezes in evenly. You don't want to get it to like start on one side and then glue itself to it, and then you can't get it to shrink because the glue is holding it in place. Like I say, start at one end and kind of work your way to the other. That's what I usually do. That way it kind of pushes out the air and the glue will make a good seal. Just kind of move around. Don't obviously stay in one place too long. And there's that. So now we got our heat shrinked end all done up. I did two ends and I'm gonna cut it in the middle because it's one piece. I gotta cut it anyway. I guess you probably could have slid that up a little bit more than more like that one. There you go. There. Now we're all done and it looks all nice and pretty like that, or like that. Either way, you're really just sealing right here to keep the gases and stuff from getting in there and corroding that. This is pretty much sealed up here. So that's how you're going to crimp your cables. Obviously use different dies for different things. If you have one of these kits and you're wondering, a number 16 die is a 6 gauge. A number 35 is a 2 gauge. And those are the ones that we're going to need to complete this. Technically a 70 is a 2/0, but we used the 1/0, so we used the 50 because for some reason this wire just squished down a little bit more. And I thought the 1/0's a little better. So anyway, let's continue on. All right, so we got a battery in, we got our ends on. They had me order a positive and 2 negatives. So the little ones are 6mm and the big ones are 8mm thread size. So over here they have you cut the I don't think I have it anymore. They have you cut the original battery terminal off, and they have you crimp a 2 gauge end to here that I got in 5/16. Pardon me. And they have this little one also that goes to the body that they said is a 6 gauge that you crimp onto that. This is not a 6 gauge. You can get a 6 gauge, but it ain't gonna be the right size. This is actually an 8 that fit on there. 6 is way too loose. And this is actually a 4 gauge. 2 is way too loose. I don't have a 4 gauge that had an end on there. It was really, really thin on the side, so I didn't want to use it. And I couldn't get the 4 gauge because they don't have them at the auto store that I went to. So I managed to make the 2 work. And what I had to do was I had to crimp it a couple of times. So I'd crimp it like this, and it would actually work the lug out to the side, like I was talking about earlier, where it squeezes it into the die. So I crimped it as much as I could. I turned it and I crimped it again, and I turned it and I crimped it again. So I just kept going around it until I managed to work it inside and actually crimp it on there. So it's on there pretty good now. But I will tell you that 2 gauge is not the right size. It is a 4, which isn't a really thick cable. I mean, a 4 gauge cable that's running everything. I mean, the wire to the plow is probably a 4. So it's like, I'm almost wondering if half of the problem with the charging on this is that the actual wires that supply the charging to the battery aren't big enough to carry the amount of current that you need to actually run the stuff and charge the battery. So it's like, anyway, so I mean, that might be the problem, is that the actual factory wiring is too small to begin with. So anyway, to continue on, instructions say to drill some holes in the cowl up here, and we are going to attach this wiring, or our new wire. I can get it up here. We're going to zip tie it all in there to the bottom of the cowl like that. So we're going to run both wires across like that. So I got the one hooked up there. I'm going to run it over and hook the ground up. So I got the negative I'm hooking up first. I'm going to run that over, cut that to length, and then I'm going to start running the positive over. Make sure, obviously, you don't want to actually have the positive hooked up, because then you might arc it out. So put some tape or something on it, like the instructions say to do. And it should be good. So I'm just going to cut the ends and recrimp them. Put the new lugs on. So like I say, I'm going to run this over here, find my length, cut it, strip it, crimp a lug on it. Same thing with the positive over there, and then we should be done. This one here, you leave the original positive on there, and you're just going to bolt the lug to that. Oh, does anybody else need any new underwear? So anyway, so you're just going to bolt that right to the lug that's on there presently. Yeah, so in case you're wondering, our plow, I don't have it grounded off the battery. I have it grounded off of the engine. I might be wrong, but I'm under the impression that I had heard that these charging systems actually tell how much voltage comes, or how much power comes out of the battery, and then that's what it tries to put back in. So if you run right to the battery, it's never going to see that, and it's going to start draining the battery, and it's not going to charge it. That's what I heard. Don't know if that's true or not. Just saying, that's what I heard. So I'm gonna get these cut and wire up the positive and see if it works. All right, so we got this battery in. I ran it, like I say, all along underneath there where they say to run it. I drilled 4 holes in the upper radiator support, and I zip tied it all into those 4 holes. Came up here, bolt down, we're on. So I ended up cutting the handle off just because it was kind of in the way, especially over here with what I needed to do. So I cut that off. I'd say you're probably gonna want to get some of that protective wrap. I think a 3/4 inch wrap is what this would take, and at minimum wrap the positive cable so it doesn't abrade through and cause a fire, because it can. So like I say, make sure it's not on any sharp things, and yeah, probably put that protective wrap on there. So the Ford instructions did not state to put an inline fuse in this. It did not state to put an isolator in this. This is exactly how the Ford procedure said to run this. So the connections are this way. I mean, basically that's how it is, but they don't state to put an isolator in there or a fuse. You can if you want. It'd probably make things a little more safe for you if you do, but I'm just doing it the way they said to do it. So anyway, I can put that cover back on here, and we should be good. Yeah, so that's that. See how it goes once it goes out in the storm, and I don't foresee any issues arising from it, but you never know. So that'll be it for this. So I hope that can help somebody. Thanks for watching.